Hello and welcome to Brainz Talk with me, your host, Mihal. Today, I am joined by psychotherapist Julia Elstrodt. We'll be talking about trauma, healing, therapy, human connection, and what it really means to move forward after difficult experiences. We'll also explore AI in mental health, medication, and why healing is about more than simply reducing pain. Julia, welcome to Brainz Talk.
Thank you, Miha.
How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
I'm really, really good. Julia, I would like to kick things off and dive into your own personal story because you've said that you knew from the age of 11 that this was your calling. Looking back, what first drew you to understanding the human mind and how did that curiosity end up becoming a career for you?
Yeah, it was an interesting moment. I mean, I was surrounded growing up by a lot of people ask if my parents were therapists. No. But I did have a mentor, like a guiding figure growing up who was. So I was always kind of surrounded by, listening, understanding people. But it was mostly, at 11 years old, I had friends going through parents getting divorced or difficult things that I couldn't necessarily relate to or understand. But I just started to notice how powerful it was to listen and how much better they felt, even though I was doing absolutely nothing. And so I just thought, wow, if I can understand better what's going on, maybe I can be even more helpful because just this is already pretty magic. And yeah, that's when it all started. So my mentor also took me under my wing, but he always made sure that I followed what was mine. So he never told me like follow this because I do. He actually quite avoided me doing that. He always encouraged me to like study everything and find my own path. Yeah.
Wow, that was good advice from him.
Yes.
But your journey has taken you from Brown University in Berlin and now to London. When you look back and reflect on your journey and your path, what were some of the key moments that shaped how you understand healing, but also human suffering?
Yeah. Oh, good question. Yeah. Well, first, Brown University is an amazing place to explore so many things. And I knew I wanted to study psychology. What I did not know was I would end up doing a degree in religious studies as well. And I remember in my classes, psychology classes were very, rats in labs and pigeons in labs and dogs in labs. And I was kind of like, where's the human? And in religious studies classes, I focused especially on Eastern religion, a lot of Buddhist teachings. And I was like, oh, this is psychology. This is teaching you how to live and how to think and what to practice and what's important. So then getting to write my thesis where I combined them both and started studying Carl Jung in more depth because he does that too. It's all a very spiritual work with the very scientific psychological work like coming together. So that kicked off that I always felt young in my soul, but that really consolidated. It was like, okay, there's something magic happen here when you balance out the artistic and the scientific approaches in a way.
I love that. And you've spoken openly about your own experiences in the past when it comes to trauma. How has your own personal journey influenced the therapist that you've become? And what has it taught you about the journey of healing?
I always tell people it's what I learned in personal experience. That's everything I use in my sessions. You learn some useful things in classes, but nothing prepares you to the moment when you're sitting there with someone and you're by yourself and you have to figure out what to do or how to act. I was always really scared of starting the work because I just felt this massive responsibility, and I was like, what if I mess up? I can ruin someone's life. It's not like you can't, but I mean, you can mess up. And I think it's taught me we definitely have to go through difficult things. Nothing really happens if you don't kind of fall hard or like go really deep into your pain or whatever the suffering that you have in your life is. And then the most important thing is to get out and to almost decide, I don't want to suffer anymore. Like life is suffering and we're here to learn how to make it not be suffering, how to learn to make it better. And that's something that I think is even more a recent lesson for me. It's like, oh, I don't have to or need to be suffering and like beating myself up. That's literally not the point. The point is to get out of that. Yeah. So it's constantly like feeding, and it's a dialogue between personal experience and what I bring to my clients.
I can imagine that's what your clients like a lot as well, that you're able to relate to them on maybe like personal notes. It's not just advice from a textbook, for example.
Yeah, actually, we're really not supposed to give advice. Yeah, my mentor would say, well, if you want advice, go talk to your neighbor. That's not what therapy is for. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, because you want to know, I mean, for me, therapist and client, we're there on the same level. It's not a hierarchy, you know. I don't know what someone is going through. The only way I can help them is if I'm really listening and really tuning in to how they're feeling, and ultimately they have the wisdom and the knowledge. And I do notice moments when it's applicable and I share a bit of my vulnerabilities or the times I hit my head 1,000 times. It's helpful. It shows a human is there, who hopefully is growing some humility as well.
100%. One thing that stood out for me alongside you talking about trauma and pain, you also talk about joy. You talk about creativity. You talk about connection and belonging. I can see a smile on your face already. What do you think healing is about more than simply reducing pain then?
Yeah. Really, the power of joy, and that came out mostly in the latest article. And the articles are really reflecting in real time what I'm thinking about. It's so powerful. This notion that we need to take joy as seriously as pain is really, really powerful. And because my experience was always, there's almost like this darkness. There's this gap inside that nothing fills, and there's loneliness there, and there's suffering, and there's pain, and there's doubts. And I'm realizing you got to fill that with something good. And joy is right there, and we tend to disregard it, but it's probably the most powerful thing we can experience. But anything positive, you know, love and peace. But yeah, before my mentor died, he told me, you need more joy in your life. So I've been practicing that, and now I'm realizing, oh, it's really, really powerful. It fills you up in a way that it almost protects you from your own negative thoughts. They kind of just bounce back, and you're like, no, I'm in this place now. Yeah.
I love that idea of they bounce off you, like you've got this shield around you, this joy shield, if you want to say, for the sake of the conversation.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a joy bubble, and like things are happening, and I'm just like,
I'm good. I got my bubble on. I'd love to explore your approach to therapy a wee bit more. What would you say makes the way you work unique, and what sits, let's say, Julia, at the heart of your practice?
Yeah. Well, one of the things sometimes I laugh in my head about is, like, if anyone is overhearing one of my sessions, they probably wouldn't believe it's therapy, because you hear laughter a lot. A lot of laughter, like a lot of joy has always been in the sessions. I always make a point of celebrating the wins and celebrating the good stuff, because we're so used to just moving on to the next problem. That is love. It's a real deep care for every single individual in front of me, which is why I think we all need to learn to be selective. It's not everyone that you can help. People need different things. So when you find someone there who's really opening their heart and trusting you in that way, it's so beautiful, and I can't help but not, in that deep way, love and care for every single one of them. And that, I think, is palpable. That's what really makes a difference.
That's so special. And therapy's brilliant, but I think it can be very overwhelming or intimidating for someone who hasn't done it before. And I think someone needs to be very ready, to be honest, to go there. But for someone considering it, what would you tell them, or what would you want them to know about therapy, especially with you?
Yeah. So what would I like you to know about therapy? It is scary, as you said. It is an act of bravery to make that choice. A lot of times when we decide to look for help, that's when it all already starts, before you even find the right person to help you. So there's real power in that decision. We all have our own time. You can't force someone into it. And find the right person, because it's supposed to be a place of growth and healing. You want to feel like you're growing together. You want to feel understood. You don't want to leave a session feeling self-conscious or Of course, there will be difficult emotions, but you want to ultimately feel like there's someone there who you can count on. And that is invaluable. Just having a human soul, a human heart who's there witnessing what you're going through, it's really, really powerful. And most of us do the job because we really, really love it. And we want you to feel better, not worse. So
I love that. I really do. One of your recent articles asks a super fascinating question. I thought, why doesn't trauma make everyone compassionate? What have you learned, Julia, about why people respond so differently to pain and adversity?
yeah, honestly, that I haven't, as you said, asked the question. I
Yeah.
purposely didn't answer it because
Anybody know?
I don't know what makes a human essence, and what makes us different. But so there's probably many factors, environmental, there's probably personality things in there. But I do notice a big difference. I've been thinking a lot, that phrase, hurt people. And a lot of time it's used as a cop-out, like as an excuse, like, oh, I'm hurt, that's why I'm hurting. That's where I think a big mistake happens. Like, it's not an excuse. It might be an explanation. And if you're aware that you're hurt and therefore hurting others, it's your responsibility to stop, to turn that around. I think everyone has their own way and time of getting there. And some people probably never will. That's also the reality. We can't help everyone. Some people will never understand and will keep hurting other people. That is the reality we have to face as well.
I love that. It's an explanation, but not an excuse. Very, very, very good words. You've also written on Brainz about what makes therapy effective. What's a good way to approach it? And in a world full of mental health apps and ChatGPT and everyone becoming experts on TikTok, etc., what do you believe creates real change within a therapy session with you?
Yeah. Oof. There's so many dynamics going on when you're there with a client. There's what's being said, like consciousness to consciousness, and I'm paraphrasing Jung here. There's a dialogue between our unconscious mind, so my unconscious and your unconscious, and then there's my consciousness and your unconscious and my unconscious and your consciousness. And then there's body language, and then it's whatever you're feeling. And I think in one article I also talk about somatic empathy, how therapists have somatic empathy, and it's really interesting when most of what I'm doing during sessions is tuning into my own body, because it tells me what's going on in the room, and it tells me what's going on in someone. Sometimes I'm like, do you feel like a little tense here in your chest? And they're like, yeah, actually. I'm like, okay, let's breathe into it. So it's a really powerful tool that we have to trust that probably no machine will be able to reproduce. It's very intuitive. And it's beautiful. That's the beautiful thing, because it's changing me as well as changing them, and it's transformational on both sides, which is what I really enjoy about it as well.
That's probably the joy of your job, that you can really connect. It's not just, okay, 9 to 5, go. You really can form connections and feel things and give, like you talked about earlier, coming back to it, this human approach all the time.
Yeah. The tough part is actually disconnecting when you have to, which sometimes is very hard.
I believe it. Now, staying on that theme, there's a lot of discussion, of course, these days around AI. We can't escape it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And AI compared or together with mental health. What are the human elements of therapy that technology just can never replace? You talked about one of them just then.
Yeah. Well, technology is basically, it feels like it's almost a conversation with yourself. It's kind of bouncing back what you're thinking. It's getting stuff off the internet to tell you. So it's basically, I think if we see it as that, it can be useful. I sometimes use ChatGPT when I need to rephrase something, or when I need to write a letter and take the emotion out of it, there's specific tasks that it can be good for. But when it comes to this growth and self-exploration, you need someone or something that understands what's going on and that wants the best for you. AI has no intentions there. It's just there. And that's probably an intrinsic human quality. When we actually want to help other people, and we do, we see how amazing that feels and how better at it we get. Yeah, I think that's probably the most important.
That's good because people do use it. And maybe those people who use it right now are maybe the ones who are a little bit scared to reach out and have this session. So for them, it's good to know that it's a good start. But like you said,
Yeah.
it's going to stump the growth.
Eventually, yeah, if you don't know how to use it, if you're relying on it for what you should rely on a human for, then yeah. But even before, a lot of times before coming to therapy, people try to, solve things themselves, and they do get, you can get to a certain place by yourself, and then you need help at some point, which you realize later on. But a lot of people read a lot of psychology. I have clients who come, they've read all Jung books and Freudian books and Adler books, so they've been doing that journey by themselves until you reach a moment where it's like, oh, I actually need someone.
Right. How is that when you have clients who have already like self-medicated, or you know what I mean? Like they've self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
Is that tough? Like, have you found that you've had to debunk a lot, or?
It can also be really helpful
Okay.
because it's good to know, okay, where are you at? What do you think is going on? That's our starting point. Because I can't really know something they're not telling me other than like a feeling. So I have to kind of help them guide the process. But yeah, my mentor would say that highly intelligent young people are the hardest because we think we understand, and we don't understand anything.
Fair enough.
But I love a curious mind, and a lot of my clients are also a bit ADHD, and when there's like that bounce back, like that intellectual, like ideas are just flowing and building off each other, like I love that.
You love it because you can see there's actual work happening right in front of you.
Yeah, it's real time. You can like almost feel or see the thoughts. Like
That's so nice. It's a nice way to put it. I would love to touch on another one of your articles at Brainz magazine about joy, limits, and the meaning for those who help others. Why do so many caring professionals, Julia, struggle with boundaries, and what does a healthy, sustainable boundary in care look like?
Yeah. Well, the second part of that question would probably be more exploratory answer. But in the first part, I can speak for myself. Like when you have this vocation or this desire or this understanding of how beautiful it is to help, you can end up taking way too much on your shoulders. And when you haven't learned yet that we're supposed to get out of the suffering, not stay in it, it's very easy. You're like, but I'm carrying all these people. I have all these responsibilities. I can't let other people down. And you don't realize you're bringing yourself down, even with all the good intentions. So it's very, very hard. And it's something I'm kind of learning now as well. It's really, okay, I need to be well in order to help others. And sometimes that means saying no to helping someone, which breaks my heart. But it leaves me in a better place to help everyone else, because I've had some clients that you learn with time you shouldn't have taken on, and that one person like wrecks your energy and you can't help anyone else, and it doesn't work.
I just wanted to piggyback off what you just said. How do you protect your energy?
Yeah.
If someone comes in and can, as you say, wreck your energy?
Yeah. It's very tricky because you're in the experience, so you don't see it right away. It's easy when you're outside, but when you're in it, it's very hard. It takes a lot of self-awareness and practice. And then again, things with joy. Even before I thought more deeply about joy, when I was really depressed, I'd put on a song that I liked and start dancing, and instantly everything changed. And now I'm realizing like that's probably the biggest protection. And going back to the bubble, like the shield of joy, it really, really, really helps. Obviously, sometimes it's hard. I pray a lot. Honestly, I'm like, there's only so much little human me can do. So I pray a lot for help, and I have to say it's my main source of protection and everything else.
That's beautiful. I would love to talk now about medication in the mental health space, because there's a lot of talk about it.
Yeah.
What role do you think things like antidepressants and other medications can play in someone's healing process and journey?
Yeah. Very important, I think. Earlier in my career, I was like, no, I'm a therapist. We don't rely on pills, until I had to go and take pills for my healing. And it's all about the asking for the help you need. It's more than just the act of taking the medication, is knowing, okay, I need help. There's something out there that can help, so I will allow it to do that. And I've noticed our mindset as well when taking medication is makes a big difference. If you're taking it like this, thinking like this is helping me, it does. If you're taking it with some reservations, like you get all the side effects, you won't feel good, it might not even have an effect. It's really, really interesting, the placebo thing. So yeah, I think it definitely has its place. Sometimes we are so off center that it's hard to even think straight. So a lot of medications, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but they can help regulate enough your system so that you can actually deal with daily life and do the work. Because if someone is in such a bad state, there's very little we can do. And it also feels good if you feel a client is really, it's a lot to carry, to know that there's a psychiatrist, a medical professional that you're working alongside with is a massive weight off my shoulders as well. Yeah. And then it takes the time that it takes. You're not supposed to get dependent on it or need it forever. I just stopped mine after 4 years, and it feels amazing. And I'm so grateful that I took it and I took that help. And now also seeing like, oh, and then there's the other side as well. So yeah, it's not there for life. It's there for a moment when you need it to help you regulate. And as long as you're doing the therapeutic process alongside, you'll be good and you'll get out of it.
Okay, so it's actually part of the full journey. The therapy is one part of the journey for an individual, and maybe that individual's journey also consists of the antidepressants. It's
Sometimes, yeah. I'm all for like I have a whole support team, like very different professionals that help me in different ways. So I have a client I see online, and one day she was thinking about seeing like a body worker in person. And I was like, yes, that's a brilliant idea because I don't see you in person. It would be so helpful to have someone who is there. And of course, I know her and there's things I can help her, but to have someone there present. So I'm very welcoming when someone says, like, what about this other thing to help me? I'm like, yes, if it's there to help, yes.
100%. Speaking of like in-person stuff, there's again a new wave of conversation about assisted psychedelics.
Yeah.
Right now, what excites you the most about this area? Firstly, and secondly, to follow up, I can imagine there's a lot of misconceptions that come with that as well. What do you find them to be the most troubling?
Yes, my favorite thing is how much we are debunking old thoughts and old perceptions that we had around psychedelics. How healing they actually are instead of harmful. It's very dependent on the environment you're in, which a lot of people already know. You can easily have a bad trip if you're in a bad environment. And if you want to do it specifically for healing, you got to set the right intentions and have the right support with that. So I think it's beautiful also going to, trauma conferences and seeing what new ideas are happening right now. And there's so much talk on psychedelics, and it's almost like opening a door to like, oh, here's something else that can help us. And I really like them. And in my experience, they open a door to something you didn't know was there, but that's already there. So after a while, I haven't taken psychedelics anymore because they show me what I can do. And now by myself or meditating, I can reach those states and do those things because it just like showed me that I was able to. So you want to try not to become dependent on anything, but use it as a tool for growth.
Okay, and assisted and the right environment is key here. For someone listening and watching and feeling very inspired by you say that, how would you say they navigate finding the right environment and the right assistance?
Yeah. Well, luckily now there's centers popping up that do the treatments. I think in Germany there's a lot. Here in the UK definitely as well. If you look into any of the big names that are doing that, like Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, I think even Gabor Mate maybe a little bit, you find the right resources and the right places to go to. And what I also say as well, like whenever a client of mine is thinking about having a psychedelic experience, I'm all for it. And we need to prepare, and afterwards we need to integrate. You can't just have the experience and like, oh no, you need to first prepare, see what intention you want to set, and afterwards actually integrate the messages that you're receiving, and sometimes continue to receive for a few days or weeks after. So yeah, that's what I'm there for, and I really advocate for. I'm like, go for it, do it. Let's just make sure it's with the system in place so that you're safe and you can actually make the most out of it.
100% good advice there from you, Julia. Thank you. And I also wanted to say that throughout this conversation, there's these themes of joy and connectivity, and that's what it should be about, instead of like becoming less stressed, more focused on the joy.
Yeah.
How would you define your work and the healing that you do in its deepest, truest sense then?
I think it all comes from what I'm trying to achieve in myself, and that kind of has that trickle effect. So I love that my job is basically to be myself. And it naturally has that trickle effect, and it keeps me really focused on constantly learning and healing and growing myself, because I see firsthand every day how much it affects the people around me. Like if I'm not feeling well, I see a whole domino effect. All my clients start to bloop, 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 bloop. And if I, pull myself back up, I see them all like, so you really see it reflected, which is a big incentive to keep going as well. Because it reminds you it's not just you, we're all together in this.
We're all connected. And when you think about the people that you support and the work that you're doing, what impact do you ultimately hope to leave behind? Get the tissue out.
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it would be such a personal thing for each of them. I'm sure some people don't like me. But yeah, hopefully you wanna be an example. You wanna be like, oh wow, that, like, I know someone who's been in bad places and now is getting to better places, so that's possible. So if you can just be a reminder for that for people, it's a really beautiful thing. But again, that takes a lot of focus on your own work and your own self. Yeah.
100%. And second last question, to wrap it up nicely, imagine a thread. What is the red thread? How did you get from where you are now, from when you were younger?
I think, I came in with all this, the vocation, the passion, the intelligence, and it was like getting real high intellectually, academically, and then really stepping into life and doing like a poof all the way down, which was the biggest lesson of all. I joke that was my PhD, like the deep, tough learning. And now the experience of coming out of it and trying to bring as many people as possible with, to a state of goodness, because we need it in the world. It's bad out there. Everyone's angry. Everyone's upset. So we need those reminders. Yeah. And then the thought that every single client I'm able to help goes out and has that trickle effect in their lives around as well. It makes me feel connected to more and more of the world and more of people. Yeah, I just love it so much, if you can't tell.
I can tell. It's very infectious. I like that trickle-down effect. You pass joy onto someone, they pass it on to them. And before you know it, hopefully the world is happier.
Hopefully. It's that thing, like we are just a grain of sand, but it takes a grain of sand. And then, others follow. So don't diminish what we can do.
I hear that. And finally, the last question. We ask this to all of our guests. Julia, what mindset do you credit most for your success?
What mindset do I credit most? I think trust and confidence. Like, trust that I'm doing my best and that's what I can do. And the confidence that I'm not alone in this work. Because if I were, I wouldn't be able to do any of this.
Great words, really beautiful words. Thank you for this really open, this honest, and super insightful conversation today. Thank you for being such a great guest.
Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. And thank you to everyone who's been listening and watching Brainz Talk. Until the next time, bye-bye.